Pearlman has taken the world by storm as of late with his incredible mentalism performances on TV and various podcasts. And he's found himself in the news once again for not the best reasons after his performance on The View. Apparently, Oz has revealed one of the hosts of The View's real ATM pin on live TV for the whole world to know, after he had apparently assured her over and over that he would not reveal her real pin on air. This is quite an interesting situation, and today as a professional mentalist, I'm going to be taking a look and reacting to the performance as well as Sarah Haynes' rebuttal video where she explains her perspective. We're going to see what we can learn from this and answer the question, did Oz go too far? Oz is a big force in the mentalism community. On the performance side of things, he's really jumped to the forefront of pop culture over the last few years, and it's brought on a lot of critics and a lot of haters over the last little while. There's a whole host of people whose sole job is trying to tear him down and expose what he's done, and today we have a very interesting controversy to look at. We're going to start this video by taking a look at this performance where Oz was accused of revealing this lady's real pin after explicitly telling her he would not do it. So let's jump right into the performance and see how this looks. Alright, so I'm gonna jump ahead here and go to the moment where he gets into the pin reveal.
If I asked you right now to think of your ATM pin code.
Oh, no.
I love the tension in Sarah. She's like,
so
we're on
nervous.
TV.
Don't say
But
it.
if I guessed it, you know what people would say? They say, he must have found that out. So if I ask someone instead to make up a random pin code, well, how can I know that? Because you didn't even know what you're gonna do. So imagine you lose your bank card, you call the bank, you made up a fake ATM pin code.
Okay,
right
make it up.
now, I couldn't have known it. Think of the first digit.
So a couple of things interesting that I noticed right away. She looks very apprehensive already, right? You can see in her body language and her expression, she doesn't look all that excited for what's about to come. And I wonder if she had an inclination as to how this was going to go from what had been already previously discussed or talked about. So I'm very interested to see how it progresses. Oz, on the other hand, doing a great job at setting up some of his methods here and some really nice justifications going on. A lot of nice things you can learn here. But I'm curious to see, her reaction is quite odd to me because she seems to know that or be worried about what might happen.
You did it? Watch your mouth open, watch. When you go like this, it sounds like a W. It's a 1, isn't it?
The first one?
The fake code, yeah, it's a 1. It starts with a 1.
So there you get the reveal, and you notice something interesting. She says the first one, and without trying to give too much away here, because it's not what this video is about, but it does tell us a lot about what the method was being used here, the fact that she's clarifying that. And it's interesting because he also clarified, so he knows that there's more than one that she could be thinking of, and he makes sure to emphasize the fake one in this moment. And I think this is going to be important, so let's pay attention to that.
You asked me a question, what's his birthday? Are you ready? Whatever your ATM pin code, that fake one you made up, write it down on here. Make sure no one can see it. Hold it close to your heart.
So again, he emphasizes the fake one, the fake one. And this is going to be really important when we try to diagnose what went wrong here. Oz is obviously trying to push her towards a fake one in this moment, the one she made up, not her real one.
No, don't let them see. Don't let anyone see.
I'm
Close
not
your
letting anyone see.
You see, even that comment, I'm not letting anyone see. She already seems a little bit annoyed by Oz, like she doesn't like him. Maybe she's just apprehensive about the whole mentalism thing. Maybe that's her attitude. I don't know. I don't watch The View. But there's definitely some tension there that I sense already.
Hold it close to your body.
I don't want the black
You
on my...
challenged me. You said, I'm thinking of Ken, and then you asked me, what's his last name? And then you asked me, what's his birthday? Like, how could I even know that? Watch this. Tell us, what is his birthday?
December 25th.
Oh my God.
12/25.
12/25.
That's weird.
So that was obviously a nice trick, and if you know anything about mentalism, obviously coincidences like that don't happen, and so we know that when this fake code was generated, there was obviously something going on here. But I think that's really important, right? We're highlighting that. This prediction, the fact that it matches the person she was thinking of's birthday, we know that that was a separate fake generated code. We know for a fact that that's not her real pin code. And let's keep that in the back of our heads here.
And are you ready? Are you ready for this? Wait. Are you ready for this, Sarah?
Nope. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
To make it the most amazing, your real code, isn't it?
What?
Again. That's 2 times now.
Can't take her anywhere.
Okay, so he's just said her real code. They beeped it out, and then she swore on live TV, which obviously they're not supposed to do. And that actually tells us a lot, and you can see from her reaction. Everyone else is sort of amazed and then surprised that she swore because I don't think they realize what's going on. She, on the other hand, she looks genuinely shocked. And if you look very carefully, and I'll continue to play this, it's not the type of shock that you would expect from a magic trick. This isn't shock like, wow, that's amazing. This is shock like she's very concerned about something. And the fact that she swore obviously could have been because wow, the magic's so amazing. But more likely she was really caught off guard by something, right? So let's keep watching.
No one knows my pin.
That's a face right there of someone who's really upset. You can tell by her expression and the way that she's not playing along. She's not enjoying this moment, you can tell.
You just said it on national television.
Why would you say it on national television?
Right there, she's on the verge of tears, right? And everyone else is laughing. They think this is part of it, but I think you can see through for her that it's not.
How did you know that? Thanks to Oz, the mentalist Pearlman, his book.
And look, everyone else has moved on, laughing, enjoying it, and she is still pissed and shocked, right? And she even mouths off to one of the producers there. You can see she says, "That was my real pin." And it's interesting because the producers keep cutting to her shocked face as if it's, you know, her reacting to the trick, because if you don't really think about it too hard, that's kind of what it seems. But I think what's really important here, now that we've watched that part of the performance, I think what we can take away is she is genuinely mad about this, right? And you can see it from the performance. So let's talk a little bit about, before we jump into her rebuttal, because she actually went on a podcast, she explained her side of the story, and we're going to look at that in a minute. But what do I notice right away? It's clear that there were 2 separate pins that were generated, right? There was a fake pin and a real pin. We have proof of that because the fake pin matches the prediction, right? Matches the birthday of the person that was thinking of. So that pin was forced. Then the other pin, we also know, is her real pin because you can tell by her reaction. She says, "That is my actual real pin." Many times, not going along with it, she mouthed it to the producer, and she's in real shock. So I think those are some important things to consider. Before I draw any conclusions from this, let's see what she has to say about it. Quick pause in your regularly scheduled program. I just want to let you guys know about my Mentalism membership. For the price of like a coffee or 2 every month, you get access to dozens and dozens of Mentalism tutorials, 2 new tutorials being added every single month. This is an amazing place for you to start your journey as a mentalist and learn all the fundamentals. It's also an incredible place if you're more experienced to learn incredible effects, brand new ideas, new methods that you may have never seen before. People have been loving the membership. I've gotten great feedback. Currently, I'm breaking down the godfather of mentalism books, Practical Mental Magic. I'm breaking down every single effect, every move, every detail, every plot. I am not just teaching the tricks as they are. I revolutionize and update every single one of these effects. I will also be adding custom master classes. You will get some of my best unpublished material. And the best part is it's all right here on YouTube. No Patreon, no external services. All the videos are right here on the channel. All you have to do is head over to the link in the description where you can get access to the Mentalism course by joining the Mentalist tier of my membership, or if you'd like to unlock all channel videos, including the entire course, exclusive master classes, one-of-a-kind lectures, and the opportunity to request custom videos, you can join the Wizard tier of my membership. I hope to see some of you over there on the membership. Now back to the video.
So the backstory that people don't know is we were asked to meet with him like 40 minutes prior to him being on the show.
Yes.
And by the way, in all of my years on any TV show, when a magician, an illusionist, a mentalist, whatever the people are, we've never had to pre-meet with anyone.
So that's interesting. So right away she's divulging things that Oz obviously would not want her to divulge, and it clearly gives us 100% confirmation on what you should already know as what the method is here. I think this is a good learning moment about the negative consequences of upsetting your spectator, and we'll cover that in a minute, but let's keep listening.
Kind of like we're gonna play like you came up with this. So it is funny that on the air he said, "Come up with a pin," and then just turned to me because I was the one that in a room he asked to do these math equations. He said, "Well, we're not gonna use your real pin, obviously." And then he repeated that a couple times. It's not like we're gonna use your real PIN. So we're coming up with like a fake PIN. So he kept reassuring me that I'm trying to come up with, I think he used the word PIN because it's a 4-digit number. There was a trick involved and he had to get me to a 4-digit number. So he kept saying, well, again, this isn't your real PIN. We're going to get to, but I had to, he made us get our phones, all of us, everyone that came in. He said, do you have your phone? Can you go get it?
Yeah.
So we had to type things into our phone. I don't know if that's where the trick is or what, but there's a point where he says, you have a number now, like subtract your real PIN, but we're getting to your fake PIN. We're going to be creating this fake PIN. And he kept reassuring me. And when we're on TV with these people, we have to play where they're subjects and, it's a trust thing.
So that's really interesting. You hear her clearly explain what was going on pre-show, and O's reassured her many times that, we're not going to use your real PIN. Now, that is a technique that mentalists will use as a justification, right? We're talking justifications here without giving too much away, to justify something that is probably less fair than her just using her real one, but we're making it seem like the fake one is more fair because it's just randomly created, right? So I think that's probably what the intent was here. And my goal in this video is not to explain the trick, but I think there's these moments that we need to touch on, so then we can really identify who's at fault here and where this all went off the rails. So I think it's clear from her account that he said that the real one wouldn't be used. But at some point, he did ask her to type it in while they were generating this fake one. And I think that can tell us a lot about how that real PIN was obtained and the fake one was created.
When we went out and he read the numbers, it was an impressive routine that he had been working on for 40 minutes or whatever. But the part that got me was my reaction, and I shouldn't be swearing on the air, was not, oh my gosh, you're such a good mentalist or whatever. It was, you reassured me 3 or 4 times in that room, we're not going to use your real PIN number. We're coming up with an imaginary one. I have never felt so violated on air. Someone meeting with you and saying over and over, like, play with me here. And
so there you go. You see exactly what I had felt from the performance. Her reaction was not, oh my God, this is amazing, because you could tell the real sort of raw, upset emotion coming through. Her feelings were, why did you just do that, right? And she says here that she felt violated.
Kind of like, I'll protect you.
So
You're not going to use
what people didn't see is it was more than just the shock of it. It was deliberately countering something he had said earlier.
Yeah, and we're playing along. He said, pretty much, we're not mentioning we all met with him. Like, he's like, just, it's like you came up with it on the air. Like, he's greasing the wheels.
Right.
And yet I was willing to come meet with him, like everyone else had to meet with him and write things down and do stuff. So he'd been working with whatever he was.
So she's giving a lot away here about the techniques that he's using and how he's wording and accomplishing these things and making it appear a certain way on camera, which is unfortunate, which is really unfortunate. We'll get to my thoughts on this all in a minute.
I was upset because I've never had someone say, we're not going to say that, and then say that on air. And a guest comes on our show and repeats my PIN after reassuring he wouldn't. So I was more not, you're so great. I was like, why would you do that? He never apologized. He kind of zipped out of here. But my reaction was, oh my God, you just said the thing you wouldn't say. He had asked me over and over, reassuring me, play with me here.
Right.
We're in a room. We're not going to tell anyone we met 40 minutes earlier. Can you? And I was willing to concede, okay, I'll do this exercise with you. And he reassured me. Then he did that. And then he tried to post it. And I don't like someone that will sell a human violation for clickbait. I've literally, in all my years in television, never been violated where someone lied. He knew what he did because he reassured me multiple times before we went out. We would not use your real PIN number.
And to me, that's what this all boils down to. Was this a mistake, or did O's know what he did here?
Now, to be clear, you never actually told him your PIN number.
I didn't tell him my PIN number,
No.
but we're using the math and whatever his trick is of watching what we type. I mean, because no one, again, if you're doing something that is mind reading, which he doesn't do, he said I don't do it.
Right, he doesn't
You
have
don't need
powers.
to write it down. And like with Anna, she was writing it on a note card. He goes, no, use a Post-it. Like, he had to do some pre-work to
Yeah,
get
there's obviously a method here.
It's a trick of sorts, and he knows that.
Right.
But he worked on that trick for 40 minutes, and I conceded my time and my trust to play along after being reassured multiple times I was okay. We would never use your real private information. And then he goes out and for a laugh, he drops by the way, he could have jotted it down and
and
said,
showed
is
it to
this
you.
your real PIN number?
Yeah.
My reaction would have been not the same, but it would have been impressed, happy, and oh my gosh, have enough faith in your stuff. You don't need kind of to betray people, especially because I'm sure that's what shows are about. You're trusting people, you know.
Right.
We have so many amazing people. We've had people like this for years and years and years. I've never been treated that way. And I would hope anyone listening, don't ever give private information. No, I didn't give it to him, but don't ever even dabble in this, because he's now wavered my trust, even though I had 10 years prior to him of this stuff. Now I'm like bamboozled.
Well, that's really unfortunate, that last statement there about her having lost trust in all of mentalism and magic, and her actually encouraging people not to play along or you know, watch any mentalism or magic. So that is unfortunate that's the feeling and the emotion she's trying to broadcast. But let's jump in a bit to my thoughts here. That was a really interesting situation, and I think really what it all boils down to is the question of, did Oz purposely do this, or was this some kind of mistake? And I think that's where we as magicians and mentalists can really learn a lot from this situation. So let's look at the evidence first. In my opinion, I think it's clear that Oz knew exactly what he was doing when he revealed that piece of information. From the performance, we see that there was clearly a fake pin that was obviously planted in her head so that it matched with the person's birthday. So Oz knew that. He knows that that's not her real pin. So then he also knows that there was another pin that was her real pin. She then tells us in the interview that that was obtained beforehand. You can infer based on what she said how he obtained that information. So it's clear that there were two different pieces of information. So it's interesting, this situation was on a popular magic forum, and magicians were debating in the comments, and there were a lot of people saying that, oh, this was probably a misunderstanding when he asked her to think of a fake pin that probably got confused at some point and she actually used her real pin. But if you watch the performance, that is clearly not what happened. He revealed the fake pin already, and then as an afterthought, he decided to reveal her real pin on the air. It is a clear decision, and from her account of the situation, you can clearly tell he knew and she knew that there were two separate pieces of information, and only one of them he had assured her would be revealed on air. Now, I think that is clear that it is Oz's fault. He made that decision and clearly revealed that there was no misunderstanding there. While we've established fault, there also is motive and intent. Did Oz purposely try to dox her, try to expose this? Now, I can totally sympathize or understand where he might have been in a situation where there's a lot going on, all the attention's on him, he's trying to deliver the best performance, and he does his effect, and as a last little kicker, he's like, well, I still have this other piece of information, let me reveal it to get another awesome, incredible hit. And I could see it being very possible that excitement took over him and he decided to say that without really thinking of the repercussions. You know, I know that he knows the repercussions because you can go watch him perform on Joe Rogan, perform the same effect using his real pin and not say it on air. He discreetly tells it to Joe. So it is weird that he decided in this moment to say it out loud and why he made that decision. I can't say for sure that he did this on purpose. I would like to believe that he didn't think of the repercussions and it was kind of an accidental, oh, I'm going to try to just enhance this performance and say it. But you see him in other performances not doing that. So it is a little bit odd, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. Ultimately, regardless of whether there was intent or not, he is a professional, and in my opinion, there were boundaries crossed here. I personally do like pin guesses. Now, I've always done pin codes on phones rather than ATM because I think, you know, there's a little bit more of a risk there, and just revealing someone's phone password is a lot less intrusive, and that way you can use the real one, and there always is a much bigger impact when it is someone's real code. So instead of going for something as private and personal and as potentially detrimental as an ATM, I'll always go for something like a phone code. But instead of making a fake ATM code, I'll use a real phone code. And even still, I don't mind, you know, turning the phone towards them and showing them the code, and they can kind of confirm for everyone. But of course, you'll always get a better reaction if everyone can see the phone kind of unlock or whatever it is. So you do have a trade-off there, but I would always opt for something like that. Generally recommend staying away from that ATM. I know that Oz is going for that exact reason, because there's a big impact and it feels so personal. But of course you have to be careful, and I would just wonder why that decision was made to blurt it out. I think it was a misstep. I think as a professional, you should know better. He's done plenty of TV. Again, I do see how this could have been a sort of accidentally made a decision in the moment and now reflects and sees that it wasn't. Hopefully he's apologized by now. I know this video is a little bit old. I think that there's a lot more that we can talk about that is more helpful than just speculating on who did what. I think it's clear what the situation is, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down on the comments if you agree with me. But I think there's a couple of bigger points this raises. Obviously, it's unfortunate that she now went on the podcast and basically exposed all of the pre-show and everything that's going on. That's not ideal for Oz or for mentalism in general, because the more people that see that will start to see, that this is a method that these mentalists are using, and that affects all of us. But I think there's a good lesson there, right? In any magic performance, we are gaining the trust of the spectators. Whether it's magic or mentalism, if you're trying to say you're getting into their head, if they genuinely believe you, that is a big trust there. If you say you're gonna, guess their phone PIN code or make a prediction on their phone, people will hand you their phones, their wallets, all kinds of things in the context of a magic trick. So there is a real trust. Some of the methods we use can be used for malicious purposes if you wanted to. So there really is that established trust. And I think it's our responsibility to always maintain that trust. And I think this is a perfect example of what can happen and the detriment that can happen if you break the trust of an audience member. So this was a clear cut. She was reassured of something, and that's the other thing that I'll just mention quickly. If he was reassuring her that much, which it makes total sense that he would have, because that goes along with the justification and the method of making the fake pin, which was really important. But if he did that and then still said it out loud, it really doesn't look good. And that's why I'm hoping it was just a big mistake. But you know what, at the end of the day, we do all make mistakes, but that is a big misstep that will have some implications, and she was obviously very upset with it. Like I was saying, you see this breach of trust, and it's a perfect example of the negative consequences that happen when you break that trust. Now, she has went on this podcast and exposed a bunch of what he did. Probably unknowingly. She's probably not trying to expose him, but she's just trying to give her side of the story. And if that trust would have been preserved, then likely she would not have went on this podcast. All the methods would have not been revealed, and she would have continued to play along as she said, right? So there is a real detriment there, and I think it shows a great lesson in why building that trust and then keeping it is very important, and not abusing our powers as magicians and mentalists. It also shows a little bit of the risks involved with the method that he used, where you are going to have people who are going to say things and talk. There is a risk to that type of method, and while I think that it wouldn't have been a big deal if he would have been able to keep things in a place where she felt good about it, it is unfortunate that it did get out in this way. This is one of the things that happens as you start to get bigger, as you really blow up. You have these kind of things happen. They're going to be much more likely to occur, and you're going to have people who are just looking to expose what you do, right? There's this guy currently who's making all these exposed videos on Oz Pearlman, and it is very weird, like the obsession there. And I obviously don't like it, but I get why Oz's character in particular is really breeding this type of behavior. And when Sarah is now rebuttaling against Oz and giving her perspective, she's a little bit more abrasive and willing to kind of throw him more under the bus because she's a little bit more upset with him, right? Again, while I don't think she was trying to expose him, you see that from these other people, and it's just, you develop haters the bigger that you get. So what can we learn from this whole situation? I think the power and trust that we hold as magicians and mentalists is probably the utmost important thing to keep with our spectators, for them to have an enjoyable performance and for our reputations. Obviously, Oz is a huge name, and this probably won't affect him very much, but it is unfortunate that there's this video now out there about her kind of explaining a bunch of things that it would have been much better for all of us in mentalism if it didn't happen to come out, and I think it's all a result of that poor decision. I think we can also see the importance of just making sure our instructions are really clear and that there's no misunderstanding. Not that I think this was a misunderstanding, but I think it's a good time to highlight that. Also, respecting our audience's boundaries, particularly when dealing with personal information. A lot of times we have access to some of this with some of our methods, particularly in mentalism, and I really think we need to treat that with the sort of respect and the seriousness that it does deserve, because at the end of the day, this is their personal information and we should only be using it for these entertainment purposes, and think about the repercussions of potentially revealing some of that information. So let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think about this situation? That is my synopsis, my analysis, my thoughts on the situation. I think it's really unfortunate, and I think he kind of misstepped here and made a mistake, but it is still a really interesting learning experience. So I'd love to know down in the comments, what do you guys think about this whole situation? And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like, give it a share, and a comment. So if you're interested in learning some mentalism, learning the fundamentals and how you can read minds, I have a mentalism course right here on the channel where you can learn some incredible modernized mentalism and some of my best material. So if you'd like to join and see that incredible material, I'll link it right up here and at the link in the description. I also do offer one-on-one private lessons if you do want to take a lesson from me, get some one-on-one consulting. Links are down in the description. With all that said, guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.